I don't always accurately identify which cards from a new set will see Modern play, but if I wanted to ensure I was correct for this new set, I'd just pick Chandra, right? Number one pick of the list, Chandra. Chandra the Mind Sculptor. Well, guess what? We're not talking Chandra. We're talking everything but Chandra. No Chandra here. She's great. She's expensive. You aren't going to be able to get her. You're going to lose to her. She's Modern play, whatever. I don't want to talk about Chandra. No more. I hate... Kaladesh will soon be inventing its way into Standard, but I don't want to talk about Standard here. Which cards from Kaladesh, besides the new Chandra, will see play in the Modern format? Presented for your consideration are my top 5 picks of cards most likely to see Modern play, except for Chandra. But before we get to the top 5 list, we've got a bonus slot for the cards that are guaranteed to see Modern play and that I am actually most excited about overall. That's right, it's the rest of the Fast Lands set. Completing the cycle of enemy Fast Lands has been the best gift from Kaladesh to Modern. While some will immediately see more play than others, finally having access to all 10 combinations is nothing short of spectacular. It goes without saying Delver decks will make use of Spire Bluff Canal, which is the biggest auto-include out of all of these and likely to demand the highest price both short and long term. But I also believe Abzan lists will try and figure out whether Concealed Courtyard or Blooming Marsh is the fast land to run in their build. Play testing ahead, oh boy. What excites me the most about the complete cycle of fast lands is that new decks might now emerge due to these extremely useful lands. Modern, after all, is a fast format, and for the first 3 turns of the game, having a dual land hit untapped is worth the risk of it coming into play tapped late game. Sure, many lists need things like shocks for the land type or fetches for the graveyard fueling of goyfs and delves, but overall, this is a huge gift to the format. Alright, coming in at number 5 in terms of cards from Kaladesh that are likely to see play in Modern, except for Chandra, we have a personal favorite of mine, Ceremonious Rejection. 1 blue, instant, counter-target colorless spell. Simple, perfect, precise. Notice it doesn't say artifact, but colorless, meaning this will hit Eldrazi, thank goodness, as well as cards like Karn and Ugin and many other colorless threats, big and small. This is a great low-cost answer for a lot of scary decks, and its inclusion in Modern is going to have to force people to continue to refine their decks into more complex and interactive strategies. Yay. Coming in at number 4, if you were around in M11 and M12, you'll remember the cycle of Titans that dominated any deck in their colors. If you're playing green and Standard at that time, you better be running Primeval Titan. If you're in black at that time, better be running Grave Titan. Well, now we have the powered down versions in the Gear Hulk cycle, and I don't know that they powered these down enough. In fact, never mind Standard, I think that Cataclysmic Gear Hulk is definitely going to see Modern play. As everyone has already said, the Gear Hulk cycle is very reminiscent of the Titan cycle, a group of powerhouses that overwhelmed Standard at the time, and have had a lot of luck and success in Modern as well. Cataclysmic Gear Hulk is a tragic arrogance on a stick. When it enters the battlefield, each player chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents he or she controls, then sacrifices the rest. Top that big body off with Vigilance just because? Not only is this a strong contender for the amazing Kiki Core deck, it also is going to give a lot of white X decks the push they need. Although sadly, mono-white builds like Soul Sister's Life Gain are not likely going to see any benefit from this, but definitely decks like Selesnya and Abzan and maybe even Geist Control can have a field day with this new toy. But you're not getting away from the Gear Hulks that easily, because one of them is in the number 3 slot on my list. Which one of the remaining 4 is not only likely to see Modern play as well, but more likely to see Modern play than Cataclysmic Gear Hulk? Why, it's none other than Fat Caster Mage itself, Torrential Gear Hulk. Torrential Gear Hulk is 2 blue and 4 generic for a 5/6 creature with flash that reads, when Torrential Gear Hulk enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. The immediate comparison is Snapcaster Snapcaster Mage. And as you know, Snapcaster Mage sees a lot of modern play. How are we comparing a 2-mana casting cost to 6? Remember that with Snapcaster, you need to also pay the spell's casting cost. And so while snapping back a lightning bolt may only be 3 CMC, popular spells like Culligan's Command and Cryptic Command, or quite frankly anything at 3 and up, is already putting you into similar, if not identical, casting cost territory. The advantage to Gearhulk is that you get that 5/6 body, which is going to put pressure on your opponent, and it can even open up options for very expensive instants or fun shenanigans with cheap blink effects. The downside, of course, is that Gearhulk does not target sorceries, and that's a major downside. So I doubt this is outright replacing Snapcaster. In fact, I know it's not, but it does have a very strong chance of augmenting decks that already run Snapcaster. More options is always better. Now, usually when I do these lists, number 2 and number 1 are a really close tie, and I often say that maybe number 2 should have been number 1 should have been number 2. Not the case this time. In fact, I almost put number 2 at number 5 or number 4, somewhere much lower on this list. But if it does see modern play, it is going to have such a significant impact on the format, and I think that it's very likely going to do this, going to define a whole new deck, and that is Madcap Experiment. Madcap Experiment is indeed getting a lot of hype because it may spawn its own deck. For 3 and red, you cast a sorcery that reads, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Madcap Experiment deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. The 2 big targets for this are Platinum Empyrean and its evil twin Blightsteel Colossus. With Empyrean, you won't lose any life to Madcap, and while you will with Colossus, you might want to try and bring out something like a Soulfire Grandmaster in play to negate it with lifelink. Yeah, I'm sure you see the flaw here. We are almost in Johnny Combo Town for sure. So never mind the Summer of Chandra, are we about to enter into the Summer of Johnny? Or is this gonna fizzle out as yet another experiment gone awry? Alright, and the number 1 card from Kaladesh most likely to see modern play, other than Chandra, who we've already explained is not included on this list, because why would you have to wait to see that number 1 was indeed Chandra? So to heck with Chandra, but the number 1 card for those players that would rather muck about in their graveyard than on the battlefield, for the lovers of dredge everywhere, it is Cathartic Reunion. Cathartic Reunion outright replaces Tormenting Voice for Dredge. For 1 red and 1 generic, as an additional cost to cast Cathartic Reunion, discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards. This fuels both madness and delirium while speeding up Dredge and helping with consistency. And it's especially powerful because Reunion can go off turn 2. Or again, if you are that insane Johnny, Summer of Johnny, turn 1 with something like Simian's Spirit Guide or the underrated Gemstone Cavern. Combine this with the also new Scrap Heap Scrounger, which is being hailed as the new Icarid, and we are looking at Dredge and Modern possibly going from unbelievably good to simply unstoppable. People are saying it's going to be the Summer of Chandra. Ha! Mark my words, we're about to enter into the winter of Dredge. So stock up on Rest in Peace and Leylines of the Void now, my sweet summer child, because Dredge winter is coming.